Uhuru, Uhuru. I want to greet you with Uhuru because we know in Swahili that means freedom. And until freedom is won, we should remind each other of freedom every day and night. Uhuru. My name is Westbrook. I'm the local St. Louis branch president of EPIDO. And I want to welcome you to this beautiful place we call Aquava Hall. This is where Black has built. Our blood, our sweat, our tears, our money has built a welcome place that could be rented or enjoyed. Just come on in. It's appropriately called welcome. Uhuru. But led by the African People's Socialist Party, the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement is a mass organization founded in 1991 and is the leading organization in the struggle for bread, peace, and Black power in the 21st century. To join today, visit impedum.org/today and select a membership level. Our community rallies are held every Sundays at 3 to 5, and you can also view them on the Burning Spirit News YouTube channel and Facebook. We encourage the online viewers to like, share, and subscribe to the Burning Spirit TV YouTube channel. And today our theme is African Martyrs Day. Rise high in revolutionary matter. The heroic memories of our fallen martyrs. Uhuru. Before we continue, I want to quickly house rules. The bathrooms to your left, my rights. Can we put the phones on silence or vibrate? Can we keep the volume at the back at a minimal because it do interfere with the mics and I got a feedback, so let me bag on up. But they're just a few short rules. And technology. Let me get back in this program right quick. Give me a quick second, I'll be back with you. In the meantime, fist up, fight back, even through technical difficulties. Okay. It don't want to slide on me.
Push it to the center.
Okay, I think I got it. One of these, I'm gonna be advanced in this technology and stop being a dinosaur. But thanks for the help, Comrade Fofi. But I will now read the 1981 resolution from the African People's Socialist Party on our movement definition and significance on raising up our own. And this is our African Martyr Day resolution. Guru. Okay. The struggles. The struggles of African people to liberate the struggles of African people to liberate our national homeland, Africa, to resist oppression and exploitation, and to overthrow the system of imperialism and advance the cause of world socialism has seen hundreds and thousands of our people make the ultimate heroic sacrifice, the sacrifice of life itself. Our history of resistance has been written in blood and flames. It has been punctuated by the courageous example of such martyrs as Nat Turner, Stephen Biko, Patrice Lumumba, Fred Hampton, Lawrence Mann, the co-founder of the African People's Socialist Party, and more. Historically, the oppressors of African people has attempted to turn history upside down and present the I'm sorry, sometimes I be getting a dry mouth, bear with me. But historically, the oppressors of African people has attempted to turn history upside down and present the historic examples of our freedom fighters as evidence of freedom, the hopelessness of our cause for political independence, African liberation, and world socialism. In many instances, our oppressors have succeeded in demoralizing great numbers of our people by using the example of, I'm sorry, in many instances, our oppressor has succeeded in demoralizing great numbers of our people by using the example of brutally murdered African freedom fighters to prove the invisibility of the imperialism and the dry mouth don't kill, man. Look. But we're gonna get through it together, right? But Uhuru, in many incidents, our oppressors have succeeded in demoralizing great numbers of our people by using examples of brutal murdered African freedom fighters to prove the invisibility of imperialism and the premise of African oppression and exploitation. African People's Socialist Party rejects and denounces this reactionary views of the bourgeoisie and call on all African revolutionaries of all countries to proclaim February 25th, the anniversary of the 1965 imperialist assassination of Malcolm X, as the Day of African Martyrs. The African People's Socialist Party calls on all African revolutionaries of all countries to take command of the history of our people struggles for political independence, African liberation, and socialism by taking command of the definition of the history and resistance. African People's Socialist Party called on all African revolutionaries in all countries to rise high in a revolutionary manner. The historic memories of our fallen martyrs, of all those in every city, village, community, and county where they fail as evidence as determination of our people to fight every battle on every front until liberation has been won. The African People's Socialist Party called on all African revolutionaries of all countries to initiate special ceremonies and programs in every communities where African revolution has fallen and to raise the memories of the fallen freedom fighters in this proper revolutionary and historic significance. The African People's Socialist Party called on all party members to win the masses within the U.S. and all masses organizations where the African People's Socialist Party has influence to unite with the resolution. We call on every party unit, region, and organization to take out this call to the masses and actively work to institutionalize February 21st as African Martyrs Day. Uhuru, Uhuru. And that would be the reading of that. If I could bear with me as I go back to the program. Okay. So, but before we continue on with the agenda, can we please stand with the African Nation fight song by our very own Uhuru?
Africa, we are winning. Shout Uhuru for our freedom. We are winning. We'll dance and sing songs when revolution's won. We are winning. Africa's best daughters and sons. Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are
winning. We are winning. Uhuru. Fist up. Fist up. Fight back. Speaking of fight back, we want to mention a few heroic revolutionary fighters, freedom fighters, that fought back and ultimately became a martyr because of that fight. Here are a few Africans that we want to rise up high as martyrs. Uhuru. And I want to briefly start with Fred Hampton, because I know that's a comrade we are familiarized with. Uhuru. We know Frank Hampton was a U.S.-born revolutionary member of the Black Panther Party. Hampton became a political career organizer with many different organizations before he arrived at the NAACP. However, the Black Panther Party influence began to spread, and he was immediately attracted to the approach of the 10-point program that integrated Black self-determination and certain elements of Maoism. Uhuru. Hampton joined the party and relocated to downtown Chicago in November of '68 to join the party Illinois chapter. Hampton had great organizing skills and charisma, and it quickly led him to grow within the movement, grow within the party. Once he became leader of the Chicago chapter, he organized weekly rallies, worked closely with the VP local People's Clinic, taught political education classes every morning at 6 a.m., and launched a project for community supervisions of the police. Hampton was instrumental in the Black Panthers free breakfast program. After the previous leadership left the party because of the FBI formed the Slick Panther split. After the FBI caused that and the leader left, that allowed Hampton to be the chairman of the Illinois chapter. And we know soon after that how the COINTELPRO dismantled, unfortunately, the branches all across the beacon. Unfortunately, we know that, thank you. Unfortunately, we know how the FBI infiltrated the Panthers and dismantled the branches throughout America. Unfortunately, we know how William or Bill O'Neill, FBI informant, poisoned, drugged O'Neill the night that the cops and the FBI raided the home where Mark Clark and Hampton was killed. But one thing they thought they did, they didn't succeed on doing. They thought they killed a revolutionary, but I can remember the words of a revolutionary. You might get killed a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. Matter of fact, I know somebody could tell his words better than I can. I want to leave y'all with Fred Hampton words. Kabul.
I want you to know that I want you to say, if you ever think about me, and if you think about me, niggas, and if you ain't gonna do no revolutionary act, forget about me. I don't want myself on your mind if you're not gonna work for the people. Like we always said, if you actually make a commitment at the age of 20, and you say, I don't want to make that commitment only because for the simple reason that I'm too young to die, I want to live a little bit longer. What you did, you did already. You have to understand that people have to pay the price for peace. If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then goddamn it, you don't deserve to win. Let me say peace to you if you're willing to fight for it. Let me say it in the spirit of liberation. I've been gone for a little while. At least my body's been gone. You ain't got to repeat after me. At least my body's been gone for a little while. But I'm back now, and I believe that I'm back to stay. I believe that I'm going to do my job, and I believe that I was born not to die in a car wreck. I don't believe I'm going to die in a car wreck. I don't believe I'm going to die from slipping on a piece of ice. I don't believe I'm going to die because I got a bad heart. I don't believe I'm going to die because of lung cancer. I believe that I'm going to be able to die what I was in the things that I was born for. I believe that I'm going to be able to die high off the people. I believe that I will be able to die as a revolutionary in the international revolutionary proletarian struggle. And I hope that each one of you will be able to die in the international proletarian revolutionary struggle and then be able to live in it. And I think that struggle is going to come. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people?
Uhuru. Well said. Long live Fred Hampton. Uhuru. Yeah. So that will conclude my brief presentation on our African mortar. Right now, I'm honored to bring our economic developer, Gregory Reed, to the stage to present another African mortar. Uhuru? What? Yes, sir. Right back.
Oh, Habarigani, brothers, sisters, comrades, Brother Kerry. Yes, sir. Listen, before I start, I did want to say that yesterday was a wonderful program that was presented on the Alabama solution. And it allowed us to have and certainly for me to have a new respect for those brothers and sisters that are incarcerated and the struggle that they are going through just for basic respect and for our humanity. And it's with that in mind that I couldn't help but think that Brother Stephen Biko certainly represents that spirit of struggling for humanity and respect. Brother Stephen was born in South Africa, Azania. And interestingly enough, he was studying medicine at the University of Natal. And he studied medicine for 6 years before he was kicked out of school for his political organizing. So he was expelled in 1972. He had joined the National Union of South African Students, and it was an integrated group that was against apartheid in South Africa. But he became frustrated with the well-intentioned white liberals that were a part of that organization because they didn't seem to really understand what the struggle of the African people were. And many times they were very patronizing in the way they dealt with brothers and sisters. So he decided that it was necessary to form a new organization. And in '68, he formed the South African student organization known as SASO. And they adopted a new, very pro-Black and radical doctrine that became known as Black conscious movement. Now, this was in the 60s, and I think many of the older folks will recognize that during that same period, we had a Black conscious movement occurring here in the United States. And it's interesting that it ran parallel to what was happening in South Africa. Now, SASO's membership was made up of Black-only members. The Bantu African speakers, coloreds, and Indians. Now, this wasn't because Stephen Biko was anti-white. In fact, he insisted that there be no anti-white hatred. He had many, many, many friends even after he started organizing with SASO. They initiated in 1972. He organized another organization called Black People's Convention. The Black Conscious Movement was very successful among students, but he recognized that we needed to have a broader organization, one that impacted the adult population and brought that group into the struggle. And so with that formation, the Black Conscious Movement promoted self-reliance, self-determination, anti-colonialism, but they weren't just speaking to those things. They were organizing literacy, dressmaking, health education programs, established a health clinic for rural Blacks that didn't have access to city health. Now, the interesting thing about SASO when they first organized it, the ruling white class were kind of happy. They said, oh, yeah, because you're talking about the same thing we are. You want to be separate. But they didn't realize that the organizing that Brother Biko was doing was grassroots. And when they found out that, in fact, these individuals don't want to just be separated, they want to self-determine their future. That's when he was banned. Now, in Africa, ban meant that he could not have media interviews. He could not have meetings with more than one person. He couldn't travel. We know about that, not being able to do that kind of stuff. So Biko was, even though he was hit with that ban, the Black conscious movement was having an impact across the nation. In 1976, we saw the Soweto uprising. Now, while Biko was not a part of that, his organization, Black Conscious Movement, was having an impact on those young folks. And basically what it was is the South Africa decided that they wanted Afrikaner language being taught throughout the schools for critical development, and Blacks were resisting it. So when the powers that be saw that this Black conscious movement was having a nationwide impact, banning was not enough. They arrested him in 1976. Now the Soweto was in 76. They arrested him in 77, and a month later he was murdered. But again, I think that the takeaway, certainly for me, was the courage that these brothers and many sisters that are imprisoned, the courage that they have to stand up against the system is something that we should be able to incorporate into our life, because certainly we're being impacted by the negative that the society has to offer. So Stephen Biko, live on.
Now live. Uhuru. All right, right now we want to bring our comrade James up to the mic to present our next African martyr. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Good afternoon, comrades. I'm doing a report on Dedan Kimathi. Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi, born Kimathi Wasuri was a leader of the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army, also known as Mama, which led an armed military struggle known as the Mama Uprising against the British colonial government in Kenya in the 1950s. And around 1947 or 48, whilst working in Al-Kayu, Kimathi came in contact with members of the Kenyan African Union. By the 1950s, he was secretary to the KAU branch of Al-Kayu, which was controlled by militant supporters of the Mama cause. The Mama began as the Land and Freedom Army, a militant Kikuyu army out to reclaim their land. As the group's influence and membership widened, it became a major threat to the colonialists. Upon taking the oath of the Mama in 1951, he joined the 40 Group, which was the militant wing of the Dimfa Kikuyu Central Association. His activities with the group made him a target of the colonial government, and he was briefly arrested the same year, but escaped with the help of local police. This marked the beginning of a violent uprising. He formed the Kenyan Defense Council to coordinate all force fighters in 1953. Contrary to the British propaganda and Western perceptions of the time, the Mama attacks were mostly well organized and planned. The insurgents' lack of heavy weaponry and the heavily entrenched police and home guard positions meant that Mama attacks were restricted to nighttime and where loyalist positions were weak. When attacks did commence, they were fast and brutal, as insurgents were easily able to identify loyalists because they were often local to those communities themselves. The Mama command, contrary to the home guard, who were well renowned as the running dogs of British imperialism, were relatively well educated. In 1956, on the 21st of October, exactly 4 years to that day since the start of the uprising, Kimathi was arrested in the Nyeri. He was sentenced to death by a colonial court while he lay injured in a hospital. In the early morning of 18 February in 1957, he was executed by the colonial government. The hanging took place at the Kimathi Maximum Security Prison. He was buried in an unmarked grave, and his brutal site remains unknown. Itaka na Wayati, land of the freedom.
Last but not least, I mean, I see you over there pondering deep thought. You want to open the mic up before we? Okay. So, yes. Before we conclude, once again, I want to thank y'all for the participation. Following this, we're gonna have our professor bless the mic. So get ready. But right now, we're gonna call our beautiful comrade Makeda to the mic to conclude this particular session on our African martyrs. Uhuru? Uhuru. Uhuru.
Queen of Sheba. That's right.
Uhuru. I will be speaking on George Jackson. George Jackson was an African born in America who became field marshal of the Black Panther Party while in prison, where he spent the last 12 years of his life. When Jackson was 18, he was sentenced from 1 year to life for stealing $70 from a gas station. He spent the next 11 years in prison, 8.5 of them in solitary confinement. When he was 28 years old, he was charged with the murder of a guard in Soledad prison. Shortly after his indictment for this murder, his first book, Soledad Brother, a book of his letters, was published in England, Germany, Italy, and Sweden. He was acclaimed throughout the world as the most powerful and eloquent Black writer to emerge in years. He became a symbol for the struggle of all oppressed people. Commenting on Jackson's writing, C.L.R. James pointed out, "The letters are, in my opinion, the most remarkable political documents that have appeared inside or outside the United States since the death of Lenin." The late Walter Rodney used to talk about how it was amazing that Jackson could develop an international consciousness from a prison cell. Rupert Lewis, who wrote the book, Walter Rodney's Intellectual and Political Thought, found an essay that Rodney had written about Jackson while he lived in Tanzania. The essay is titled, History is a Weapon, George Jackson, Black Revolutionary. Jackson's second book, Blood in My Eye, was completed only days before his assassination. Blood in My Eye clearly showed Jackson's global outlook. He wrote the commitment to total revolution must involve an analysis of both the economic motives and the psychosocial motives which perpetuate the oppressive contract. For the Black partisan, national structures are quite simply non-existent. A people without a collective consciousness that transcends national boundaries, freaks, Afro-Americans, Negroes, even Americans without the sense of a larger community other than their own group can have no effect in history. On August 21st, 1971, 3 days before he was to go on trial, George was assassinated in the prison yard at San Quentin in what was later exposed as an FBI counterinsurgency operation. We are forever indebted to George Jackson and his development and his fight from behind the wall. Long live George Jackson.
Right on, Conrad, right on. And the crazy thing about it, you see how worthless they see us, our lives, and the similarity, it was $70 that his life was thrown away with in a similar case with Fred Hampton. His life was thrown away for 71. They say he stole $71 worth of ice cream from an ice cream truck to give away to the community. Ice cream truck. And he was sentenced to jail December 6th, but instead of them allowing him to go to jail and spend his precious time, they killed him, assassinated him. But Uhuru, that concludes our African Martyrs presentations. Uhuru. So right now, I have the honor to bring forth our political education for today. Will be the political report done by our chairman. And it is named This Time Till It's Won. Power in our hands. It's not just Trump, it's what? Whole damn system. So let's give a hand round of applause. Wow. Uhuru.
Uhuru, I want to thank you very much and thank Comrade President Westbrook for the introduction and for opening up this meeting. I'm truly appreciative of what it is that we brought to this meeting today, this whole discussion around martyrs. And the significance of this is not just to remember some dead people. It's not just something that we are doing. It's not, doing eulogies, and I mean, you can do this in church and you can do this some other place. But what this is a statement of recognition that what the reason these people have become martyrs and we have embraced them so deeply is that generally speaking, they have died as a consequence of a social system that was intent on preventing us from being free. And they were examples of our struggle to be a free people. That's a real human struggle. It's a real denial of the ability of our colonizers and oppressors to steal our agency, to steal from us the notion that freedom is something that we have to have. And in fact, part of this entire process that we're engaged in constantly, or often anyway, attempt to silence or threaten us with jail, with prison, or with death. And what these martyrs continue to remind us is that there's something worse than jail and there's something worse than death. And slavery, voluntarily slavery. For those of us who are conscious, we know that some people are trapped in this situation because they have no sense of who we are. They've been denied the access to an assumption of our humanity. They have been denied that by governments who kill our leaders, by governments who imprison those who would have the audacity to come and try and bring us out of this hellhole that we've been pushed in against our will. They have done that. And so that's the basis of the fact that we are talking about martyrs. And the fact is the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, NPDM, is something that has come about as a consequence of the war that was made against us that created so many martyrs in our community. I mean, I'm so proud of us and what it is that we do, and of you who stand up, even in the face of the examples of murder and brutality, torture and things that's imposed on us. Comrade Gregory was mentioning on yesterday how we attended this event on the Alabama Solution, where they talked about the treatment, torture, brutality, inhumane, indescribable. It's really indescribable. If you didn't have these, some of the videos that we saw, you wouldn't be able to describe what it is. And this was a limited description even with that. And this is just to make sure that we can't talk. And why did they do it? So that they want to make sure that these brothers who were locked up in the prison couldn't tell anybody, couldn't spread it among African people, couldn't grow a kind of awareness that we have this collective understanding and we can and should do something about it. And which is why they came at 5 o'clock in the morning here in St. Louis and in St. Petersburg, Florida, with armored vehicles and with drones and flashbang grenades and things like that, and the threats to kill us and then imprison us for 15 years and fine us for $500,000, $500,000 each, because they don't want us to be able to generate a response to our condition among the masses of our people, which is why they would even claim in their indictment that part of what we were about is to spread and sow dissension among the African people that would lead to what they call some separatism from the United States government, which is a fallacy. We're not trying to create separatism. To initiate separatism presupposes that we were once together, when the fact is that's not true. I mean, we were captured, brought here against our will, etc. So our objective is not separation any more than the theft of this land by the colonizers who now occupy and control this land and much of the world as a consequence of the power and resources that they captured with stealing this land and stealing our people. They didn't talk about a declaration of separation. They called it what? A declaration of independence. And so that's what we want. We want independence. We're no different from anybody else. We want to be a free and independent people. We understand that there is no dignity in being a willing slave. And so we oppose to that. So I just wanted to say those things. And then finally, I think it's really important to remember. I mean, I listened to the words in the African Nation Fight song. I mean, that's enough by itself to do a whole study, a whole class on that. And you talk about, it says, what are we fighting for? It says, socialist world. our creation. Socialist world, our creation. What in the hell is a socialist world? A socialist world is a world without exploitation. It's a world without oppression. It's a world where the people who create the wealth are the ones who collectively own it. It's a world that's different from the situation where somebody can claim to own the land, can own the trees, can own everything that's necessary for people to survive. It's a world that's different from the one that was historically connected to Black people and most people around the world. That's right. And so the existence of this whole capitalist system and how it acts and functions is a consequence of the attack on Africa and the enslavement of African people. When the European settlers did this, they lived under what was characterized as feudalism, which is a social system, which is a mode of production, under which the people who create the value, who do the work, etc., the creators of value, don't get the full benefit of their value. They just get part of it, what the colonizers, what the feudal landlords want to give them. And that's what we were talking about under European feudalism. When you look at the issue of landlord, that's where the term comes from, landlord. It comes from that nobility. And when you talk about, you go to pray and you talk about the Lord is my shepherd, that's the landlord. That's come from European colonialism, European feudalism. And so that's what you end up praying to, although you don't even know it. You know, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. The landlord, and this is the presumption that they wanted to exist among all the people who oppress. The ones who oppress us want us to believe in our oppressor, want us to believe that we're not being oppressed, but they're doing something good for us. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When the Lord is the one who's stealing everything from your family so that you're always wanting something, because you never get it. So when we talk about socialism, socialist world, our creation, what a noble struggle to be involved in. It's a noble struggle. It's a struggle to end exploitation of everybody. It's a struggle that's designed to end the oppression of women. It's a struggle that's designed to elevate the condition of the working peoples who create all the value. Bankers don't create any value. Insurance companies don't create any value. In fact, insurance companies are betting. You're betting with the insurance company every time you give them money, you're betting against them that you're going to live long enough or not get sick until you give them as much money as what you give them. And anybody who's ever gambled knows that the house never loses. And the insurance company never loses. It's the ones who play in the game on their terms that end up losing all the time. So, and then we say 1 billion strong. That's what we said. When we say Izwe Letu, we say 1 billion strong. That's who we are. And that's an understatement. When that was written, that was for the presumption. But African people constitute nearly 2 billion people in the world. We are a huge population. Why do we have to say 1 billion strong? Because when they take away your identity, they create a race as opposed to a group that constitutes a part of a nation. They say they take away your identity, then they claim that you're some kind of minority. As long as you see yourself as a minority, then you're afraid to fight. And not only are we not a minority, even the figures they give out in terms of percentage of African people who exist in this country is understated because I'm sure it's a national security secret. How many of us there really are? So they take away your heart, take away your will to struggle. And that's one of the reasons we talk about martyrs as well. Because they will terrorize you out of resistance. That's one of the reasons our struggle has been so important. That's one of the reasons that no matter what happens on tomorrow, on July 30th, 1972, on July 29th, 1972, after that raid, pre-dawn raid, we were still standing up. We were still talking about winning our freedom. We were still organizing, and we were building spaces for African people to exercise freedom. That's the kind of examples that we want to create. That's why this issue of martyrs is so important. Don't tell us that it's useless to fight because look, that you'll kill us. You say when you kill us, you show that's why we have to fight. That's the thing that you show them. That's what our responsibility is as leaders in our community, to elevate the community, give the community the heart to struggle, and let them know that there's something wonderful. I mean, if Christianity were like that, and people say, well, it don't make no struggle, no sense in struggling because see what they did to Jesus? You don't hear Christians saying that, do you? They say they walk through fire. They say they'll do anything to live like Jesus. That's what they say. They're lying when they say that, but anyway, they say that. And Biko existed on a critically insignificant time. He himself was also influenced by the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, by people like Robert Sobukwe, who had really initiated in what's called South Africa the kind of Black consciousness movement, and had to do that against an NAACP type organization that existed there at that time that was called the African National Congress. And the African National Congress was something that existed and had made a dirty deal. They created this stance that the land of South Africa belonged to all who lived there, both the colonizers and the colonized. And this stance that they took, Freedom Charter is what it was called, written by a guy who was head of Joe Slovo, who was really the head of the Communist Party of South Africa, which at one time had a slogan, white workers unite to keep South Africa white. That was their slogan. That was the Communist Party of South Africa at one time. And Slovo, he didn't come up with that slogan, but I'm telling you something about the history of the organization, the tradition of that organization that he represented. He is the one that is widely believed to have written the Freedom Charter that was adopted by the African National Congress, and that the youth wing of the African National Congress said, we ain't going with that. And Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, resisting against the leadership of the African National Congress, resisting the leadership of Mandela and the rest of them, created the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, because they said the land belongs to us. To those with our land has been stolen, taken away from us, and the land is the critical issue in any struggle. You've heard Malcolm X say that how are you going to fight? The land is a critical question that you have to have, which is why the oppressor always comes to take your land, which is why you have a gentrification process right here in St. Louis that even use tornadoes to take your land, to make sure African people have no land, because land is the basis of wealth creation. You don't have anything if you can't have a farm, you can't grow a turnip green, you can't do anything without land. And so this is something that they understand, and I'm going to move from that. But I just want to say that this whole notion, Comrade Gregory mentioned the similarities of how we were treated and how the struggle looked in South Africa and how we were treated and how it looks here and other places. Similarities because it's the same struggle. Because it's the colonial mode of production, because colonialism looks the same. And it gets its definition essentially from its beginning, definition from Africa and what it's done to African people. And the name of that organization is SASO. That was the acronym. SASO, that was created by Biko. And banned is something that we know about. As Comrade Greg would say, we banned. We can't have no meetings, we can't talk to nobody, we can't say nothing, can't go out of town, you have to have, et cetera, et cetera. That's what banned is, and that's the thing is, when you look at counterinsurgency, resource and population control, no matter where in the world it exists, resource and population control is the essential ingredient of counterinsurgency. So I just wanted to say that, and I used up a lot of my time, haven't I? Okay. So, but this is why we go through this political report. It's a democratic exercise that we're engaged in. We have a plenary that's coming up, in a 3-day plenary, and it's too short. We don't have enough time, tell you the truth, because there's a lot that we need to be able to do that we can't do within the 3-day period. So we're jamming a lot of stuff, and we don't give you the kind of time that you need in your participation in this. But the political report is one aspect of it, because our organization is based on the principle of democratic centralism. And there's democracy. People can participate, can struggle, can help to shape what this organization looks like, can unite basically on what it is that we believe in, where we're going. You don't find this in the Democratic Party. I don't give a damn what you say. The Democratic Party does not, you don't even know who's on the Central Committee of the Democratic Party. You don't even know where their leading document is because they don't make it that accessible to you. We say it's a requirement that you know, which is why we're having this meeting on today, which is why we're going to keep talking about. This is the political report that we're taking to our Congress so that we can have an educated organization, educated membership, because you can't have a genuine democracy if the people don't know what the hell it is they're fighting about. So people can vote, but they don't know what they're voting on or why they're voting. That's not the way we do it. That's not the way we attempt to do it. And that's why it's so important for us to have this discussion. So I think I'm on page. Sir, I'm going to try to work with it.
Page 10,
I'm on page 10.
yeah, if you found exposed to the depravity of the black colonial ruling class.
Oh, that's what you meant when you put Epstein file on there.
Yeah.
I thought you was pointing me to him.
I have already.
Okay, so the Epstein files expose the depravity of the white colonial ruling class. And I mean, I just want to say we're going to talk about the Epstein files here, but there ain't nothing new here in the Epstein files, nothing. I mean, the rape and the stuff they've done to African women, and not just women, because you got to remember that some of the colonizers were also homosexuals. And even if they weren't homosexuals, the kind of crimes they were just as the forms of punishment that they were perpetrate against African men as well. That was real. And also African settler women, colonizer women also had their way with African men. And so this is a whole tradition. There's nothing new here, except they don't say looking at the Epstein file that this is what we used to do, or we have done and continue to do even today to African people. So nothing in contemporary history teaches us a better lesson. I'm gonna stop briefly because I got to rest.
Okay.
Okay, that's what you call it, the rest room. So I'm gonna rest momentarily.
Ease, Relay 2.
Yeah.
Africa.
Plenary too.
Ease, Relay 2. That's right. That's right. In his brief absence, you got your presentation. You want to do something, Sophia? Yeah, I know it's kind of long, but we're just gonna fill the little absent right until Chairman come back, unless our president. I mean,
First, after Mars Day.
Or wherever we go.
Uhuru, comrades. Yeah, I don't know if this was mentioned a bit earlier, but it was in 1981 that on the first Congress of the African People's Socialist Party, that this resolution to make African Martyrs Day a reality everywhere we are, is to raise up the African martyr, especially in the cities where we come from, that we live. African martyrs exist all over the place. And this year in 2026 marks the 45th commemoration of African Martyrs Day. So the parties have been doing this work of raising up African freedom fighters, or African national patriots, for 45 years. And this was also during, during these 45 years, there's a lot of attempt to try to rewrite our heroes. In fact, there are people who say that that we don't get to have heroes. But the reality is we do have heroes. We do have leaders in the African nation who we celebrate. who we adore. We have the right to adore them. They belong to us. And so I wanna raise that 45 years. We are relentless of completing the Black Revolution of the 60s. And this plenary is an important plenary. You have to be there. And Chairman is continuing his political report. Uhuru, comrade.
I'm well rested.
Right on.
Sometimes I think I have to rest, but I don't really have to, but I'm rested now. But thank you so much. So nothing in contemporary history teaches us a better lesson that helps to clarify the colonial and class basis of the U.S. concentration camp prison system than the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the so-called Epstein files, which expose the massive sex trafficking rings running throughout the entire international ruling class for more than 3 decades. I was talking to somebody even today about, first of all, that our introduction to this country, we looked at Alabama, was as prisoners. We were introduced to this country as prisoners. And I've suggested that people should go to and see Elmina Castle in Ghana, and the other places where they had captured us and stuck us in these prisons. Sometimes these prisons were in dungeons that were below the churches where the colonizers actually prayed above us. And when you talk about Epstein, by the time many of the ships reached this country or Brazil or the other places where they were taking us, many of the African women were pregnant. And they weren't impregnated by African men because they had separated the men from the women. They were impregnated by the enslavers, by the colonizers. This has been our history, and I resent it so powerfully that they will never be able to erase from my memory and my contempt the settler colonial state, the colonial mode of production. The Epstein case originated in Florida, where the colonial government's frame up and trial of Mean Penny Hess and Jesse Neville was carried out. One of the signers of the Department of Justice indictment of the Uhuru 3 is Corey Amundson, who brokered the 2007 plea deal that effectively released Epstein from jail on a so-called work release as a convicted sex offender in a plan that didn't even require any work and fully enabled him to continue his crimes. The international ring of colonial ruling class figures include former US President William Jefferson Clinton, as well as the current President John Trump, Ehud Barak, and other Israeli leaders and donors, as well as hundreds of others who were listed in Epstein's Black Book and files. Democratic Party bigwig Charles Schumer. You know, Schumer's a good guy because he's not a Republican, right? Billionaire Bill Gates and the highly respected popular Zionist intellectual Noam Chomsky, British royalty, and hundreds of other imperialist luminaries were listed in the pedophile activities that assaulted over 1,000 children and young people. The entire ruling class across the political spectrum, including the sitting US president, is named in the highly redacted, recently released files of over a million related emails. The Epstein case was first brought to the Department of Justice in 1996 by some of the victims when the Department of Justice refused to act on it. This means these sex trafficking rings were rampant during the Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, and both Trump administrations. There are redacted photos of Trump with young girls in the file. And yes, the Negro Obama was there. He wasn't necessarily at the Epstein's island or anything like that, but he was in office while this stuff was going on, and the Justice Department was supposed to be dealing with it, and he did nothing. But what Obama's group did do, they presided over the murder of Muammar Gaddafi, and they added $1 million bounty to Assata Shakur, who wasn't raping any damn body. You understand? Who was part of a process to keep Africans from being raped, and who ended up in Cuba. That has no history of raping anybody. Cuba doesn't, but it is now being targeted by the rapists and pedophiles who run the United States government at this moment. I'm not mentioning the Epstein case to satisfy any prurient appetites of party and movement members, but as an example of how law is the opinion of the ruling class. Epstein himself was murdered into silence while in prison, and Ghislaine Maxwell, his alleged accomplice, appears to be tailoring testimony to earn early release from prison. Not a single one of the alleged pedophiles has even been charged with anything, with one exception being in England, which may prove to be really important in terms of unraveling the entire thing. So the prince has lost his title as prince. They didn't say he had to give back the money or anything that he's taken from people and Africans and what have you over this period of time. But even, to talk about, to even single him out, when Lizzie, Queen Elizabeth, who herself, just the damage and harm that these entities have done, and they maintain elements of respectability because nobody has put any charges against them. Yet I, along with Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, were threatened with 15-year prison sentences and break the bank fines for attempting to prevent the ongoing colonial mode of production that daily starves and murders thousands of people worldwide, including Palestine, Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine, and Africans throughout the so-called Americas, in Africa, and every other place in which we have been forcibly dispersed. We must remember we were forcibly dispersed there. When you talk about a Jamaican or a Haitian and what we got to do with them people's nonsense, we were forcibly dispersed there from Africa. And when we talk about reparations are owed to us, the fact is that we are owed reparation because of an attack on Africa. It was Africa that was attacked. And anyway, then President Clinton executed the Biden-initiated crime bill, which fueled mass imprisonment and police violence against African people within the U.S. with 100,000 new police and 3 strikes laws, while Clinton was allegedly in a sexual relationship with Monica Lewinsky, a young White House intern during his administration. There are many photos of Clinton in the files on Epstein's Caribbean island, and Clinton used Epstein's private plane to make a trip to Africa during his presidency. Epstein even played a role in the Middle East talks at that time, and former Israeli General and Prime Minister Ehud Barak stayed at Epstein's house for a total of 17 weeks while in the United States. Epstein is said to have been connected to the Mossad, which means he was connected to the CIA. The Epstein case provides us a splendid opportunity to educate African prisoners and the entire African population that at one time we defined as a nation behind bars. A nation, that's who Africans exist, as a nation behind bars. It is also worth mentioning that Biden and Clinton used a crime bill to attack Africans, just as the current U.S. administration is using the National Guard and threatening federal troops to to fight crime in our community. Same old unoriginal anti-African trope that is part of the popular colonial lexicon. U.S. military occupying our African communities inside the United States. National Guard troops have been deployed by the Trump administration to patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. and other African communities within the U.S. on the pretext of fighting crime. in our oppressed community. Additionally, the U.S. president has called on the Department of War to bring the war home to the U.S. by using African communities as training grounds for the military to fight against crime. Buzzwords traditionally used to target Africans for enhanced repression in the United States. Here in North St. Louis, the U.S. military already has a heavy presence in the African community. This past September, the massive 700,000 square foot building housing the Western headquarters of the National Geo-Spatial Intelligence Agency, or NGA, officially opened a mere 8-minute drive from where we are now. The NGA is critical to the U.S. colonial war around the world and has played a major role in locating and targeting Venezuelan, Palestinian, Syrian, Afghan, and Russian leaders, among others, and making the impoverished African community in North St. Louis a living target for possible retaliation from any of its victims. And if you look at the war games that this country is playing right now against Russia, Iran, China, and what have you, and you look at the fact that they've used this NGA thing to kill Russian generals in Moscow, to be able to target them. They've killed leaders of the Iran by using this kind of satellite stuff that comes from the NGA system. Then if people want to fight back, if they want to target the forces that's responsible, or the institutions that's responsible, what are they going to hit? They're going to hit our community, which is already being hit, because the other thing they've done with taking all this land, all this space, is that they've changed the property value in the community. And so, like, they've got how many thousand square feet of land they've taken? They've got 2,000 acres of land that they've taken. They're building on that, which means that the property value tax rates are going to be going up, because the property value is going to go up. And that means that the people who lost their homes to things like the LRA, et cetera, you're going to see more losses because people are not going to be able to pay the taxes, because the LRA took the people's property in the first place for tax arrears, and also because many of the people could not meet the requirements for what do you call it, when you have to make repairs and things like that on your properties. Code violation, yeah. So let's see, that's page. The NGA's mission is stated here in a deceptively benign way to obscure its murderous intent. You see what we do. We're not just standing up here bad-mouthing the white man or just with, like just making criticism that don't have foundation of investigation and analysis, scientific investigation and analysis. This is how we come to certain conclusions. Not only do we do this, but we tell you how we've come to the conclusion so you can check it out yourself. You don't have to believe us. We tell you how we came to this conclusion. Check it out, etc. So the NGA mission is stated here in a deceptively benign way to obscure its murderous intent. According to its website, this super secret agency collects, quote unquote, world-class geospatial intelligence that provides a decisive advantage to policymakers, military service members, intelligence professionals, and first responders. NGA is a unique combination of a Department of Defense combat support agency and a principal member of the U.S. intelligence community. NGA gives warfighters, the intelligence community, and first responders a worldwide, first-hand intelligence baseline for their own analytical and operational needs. This includes everything from contributing to the state of readiness of our military forces to ensuring safety of navigation in the air, on land, and over and under the seas. You saw that with the 150 air warships that they use just now in Venezuela, targeting and killing people and being able to target and know where the president and his wife was at any given moment. They've got this intelligence apparatus and they use this and they, like it's based in our community more or less. The NGA has enabled the U.S. and U.S.-backed and led military forces to bomb and murder anti-colonial leaders and civilians around the world from drone missile strikes 4 miles up in the atmosphere. U.S. National Guard troops have also been deployed to the current U.S. southern border to further protect the U.S. white settler regime from the demographic change that promises to reduce the U.S. white settler population to a minority by 2045. Flames of white nationalist racial hatred are being fanned daily, targeting African people within the U.S. and globally. The new official number of refugees permitted entry to the United States prioritizes white Boer supporters and beneficiaries of apartheid South Africa in the name of protecting the white settler colonial oppressors from genocide by African Black people, I should say, neo-colonially occupied South Africa. On Christmas Day, the U.S. carried out its open threat to attack Nigeria, ostensibly to protect Christians. This is another public manifestation of an attempt to win mass support, mass approval within the United States and the white world globally to enhance the repression of Black people. All of this is magnified by U.S. President Donald John Trump's verbal assault on Africans from mostly Muslim Somalia in Minneapolis and on Somalia itself. Recently, Minneapolis was the scene of the punitive murder of by ICE forces of a white woman settler colonizer attempting to defend a Somali man being targeted by ICE just a few blocks away from where George Floyd had been murdered by police in 2020. Despite the stand of a few individual white people, including our solidarity forces and some white members of Hands Off Uhuru, the normal anti-democratic oppression of colonized people functions as a measurement that allows colonizer revolutionaries, end quote, and so-called communists to characterize the capitalist system as a hidden dictatorship. That's what they say about capitalism. They say capitalism is a hidden dictatorship. And they call it hidden dictatorship, generally speaking, because you can vote and stuff like that. It is a dictatorship normally hidden from white settlers, generally comfortable, and white settlers generally comfortable and democratic experience on the backs of the colonized, for whom dictatorship, rule without regard for law, is most often ignored, but not hidden. It's not hidden, it's blatant. A disturbing fact at this point, one that gives greater urgency to the role and responsibility of our party, is that most so-called leftists, colonizers and colonized alike, can only speak of the current escalation of threats to Africa and Africans in generic terms. What is normal exploitation of Africans and others who constitute the primary source of European development or primitive accumulation is characterized as super profits by colonizers when comparing our exploitation to that of themselves. This is a way of claiming that the exploitation of the colonizer and the colonized is the same, differing only in the degree, but not the nature of exploitation. You with me on that? So, despite the history, it's super exploitation what they do to us. The thing was this, exploiting the white people, they're exploiting everybody, but super exploitation. So this is a way to liquidate the criticism of colonialism and saying that the only difference is the degree of exploitation and not the nature. Despite the history of the U.S. With the colonial enslavement, lynchings, and other white barbarism initiated against our people and others, The left is not girding up for defense of Africans, Mexicans, and other indigenous colonial subjects from the historic colonial terror. Instead, they talk about the current U.S. regime's encroachment on democracy, the move toward fascism, and the growth of autocracy, etc. Generally speaking, we're on our own. These are some of the historic and current examples of the threat our people face during this existential crisis of the colonial mode of production. They are examples of why this moment is of extreme significance for our party, a party determined to lead our people beyond this era of social media militancy and spontaneous protest not tethered to an anti-colonial end. Despite attacks, the party forges ahead. Throughout the past 3.5 years, the party has led a relentless campaign to push back, overturn the colonial state's outlandish and vicious attack on the Uhuru movement. Our fight back defending the Uhuru 3 has been exemplary and built a massive base of support, solidarity, and admiration from every front of social movement throughout the United States and the world across the political spectrum. The leadership of the party redefined the understanding of so-called progressive to mean, in fact, where do you stand in relation to the African People's Socialist Party? The party rebooted the African liberation movement, elevating the conceptual issue of the U.S. colonial constitutional First Amendment to actual anti-colonial free speech. The criminal indictment of the Uhuru 3, myself, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville on 2 charges that carried a 15-year total prison sentence for the 3 of us, and a $250,000 fine for Penny Hess and me, came 9 months following the July 29th militarized raids in our homes and offices in Florida and Missouri. The September 2024 trial exposed the fallacy of the criminal indictments of myself, Penny, and Jesse, when a jury on which no Africans were allowed to participate found the 3 of us not guilty on the foundational charge of being unregistered agents of Russia, a charge that carried a 10-year maximum sentence. In an illogical and contradictory decision, a jury found us guilty of conspiring to be unregistered agents of Russia. No one's going to jail. No one's going to be fined, stated U.S. District Court Judge William Jung at our sentencing in December 16 at the Middle District Court Federal Courthouse in Tampa, Florida. This victory set off an avalanche of emotions from the scores of people who had come to court in support of our party movement in the trial of the century. The judge's words at the Uhuru 3 sentencing brought temporary relief to our party, Uhuru movement members, and the thousands of others who were organized into the Hands Off Uhuru counteroffensive that we initiated. I'm going to stop at the beginning of the next bold paragraph, sentence, headline. That we initiated immediately after the July 29, 2022 military assault on 7 of our homes and movement offices in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. Instead, we were convicted of a thought crime of not registering to think of being an unregistered foreign agent, a crime that did not require an action on our part. That's how I should read, require, an action on our part. Although we were not sentenced to prison time, and the district judge ignored the federal prosecutor's call for multi-$1,000 fines for me and Penny, the 3 of us were each sentenced to 3 years probation and 300 hours of community service. The judge acknowledged that we could do the community service hours standing on your head, since community service is what you do anyway, which is an interesting statement coming from the judge who presided over the thing that just threatened to imprison us for 15 years each. I think that, so anyway, this statement by the judge recognizing our political work for which we were indicted and placed on trial as community service was a barely veiled acknowledgement of the fact that everything named in the indictment as a criminal act would be legal and protected speech, if not for the requirement to register as a foreign agent according to the judge. In other words, according to the state's logic, had we committed perjury and falsely registered as foreign agents, we would not have been assaulted with pre-dawn military raids by FBI agents that threatened our lives and terrorized our communities in Florida and Missouri. The court's decision, while not giving the prosecutor all they asked for, was only temporary respite. As I have said all along, I did not build our party and movement to keep me out of prison. That's not what it was built for. And so to not be in prison is not satisfactory in and of itself. We're going to fight that, by the way. And I wanted to let you know, if I didn't say it before, if you didn't hear it before, they had put us on 300 hours, what do you call it? Community service, and a 3-year, a 5-year, it was 3 years, wasn't it? 3 years probation. And despite the opposition by the prosecutor, we just won early termination of the probation. So we're no longer on probation at this moment. Yeah. Uhuru. So we won that. And so we have also filed an appeal to what they did convict us of. And so there's a good likelihood we'll be going in March or April for what do you call it? For discussions at the court, the verbal oral arguments of why it is that the whole thing should be thrown out. So I wanted to read that, and hopefully we still left some time to do something else. Yeah. Thank you, comrades. Uhuru. I think I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm inviting everyone here to access Amazon, and there's a movie that I really would hope you would check out called 2073 or 2073. It's an interesting kind of movie, and I really would like for you to take a look at it, and we can talk about it later on. But it's a movie of a form of resistance to what's been going on, and it's almost like a documentary. And there are actual videos and things like that of Trump, of Musk, of others who engaged in this process of oppression. It's not the best document in the world, but the thing that I appreciate about it is that it does promote resistance. It's a bleak future that they show. That's because they don't know you're here. And I mean that literally. But they suspect you might be here, because one of the things that you see is the primary character who narrates this story while she's out scavenging almost underground because of the brutality that people are facing, is she finds this book. And the book she finds that is partially burned is a book of Malcolm X. And I thought that was quite significant. And throughout the thing, people who are familiar with Malcolm and what he has said over the years will hear her mentioning statements from Malcolm X. She doesn't say this is from Malcolm X, but she reads it and it's clearly from Malcolm X. So I just thought it's really interesting. So they know you're here. But the interesting thing about this, it's on Amazon. And Amazon is owned by what? Bezos, whatever the hell his name is. And he is one of the forces severely criticized by the movie itself. So take a look at it. Uhuru, thank you so much, comrades.
Hey, so put that on your calendars because it sounds like we having a movie night about that film, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Uhuru, Uhuru. And I know earlier you was mentioning the NGA. You know they moved the headquarters of Boeing's to St. Louis now, right? Yeah, they trying to militarize this city, North County and North City, where we are populated.
Yeah.
Uhuru. But I want to appreciate the chairman. Come on, let's give another round of applause for our chairman. Uhuru. And with that being said, I want to open it up for discussion. So if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, you can come to the mic and express them. And if you also have a question, you can put in on the YouTube channel and on Facebook, and we can get to it. Uhuru?
Uhuru.
Come on, James, I see. Okay. Uhuru. I definitely unite and this call is not just a call, like Trevor said, we don't just to get up here just to be rambling. This is actually a call for the plenary that's gonna be held here. Uhuru. I don't like doing this to him, but I'm gonna do it to him. But our international president wanna come up here and lead off the discussion. Uhuru. You got a question online?
Uhuru, and I just want to appreciate everyone that is viewing this on our YouTube channel on Burning Spear TV today. The question is, in regard to the creation of a socialist world, where can we find a working model of this concept? Oh, there's actually another.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a really important kind of question because we hear discussions often, increasingly, of socialism. We see there are different people going back even to Bernie Sanders, who claims to be a socialist, and I forgot the name of AOC, who talks about being a democratic socialist or something to that effect. But what we have said all along, something that's been missing in all of the discussions that we've seen about socialism is that the road to socialism is painted black. And so we haven't seen a working model of that yet. We're in the process of creating that now. What comes closest to the working model, and if you recognize that socialism is a situation where the working class itself has now become the owners and controllers of the means of production. What you see is Black Power blueprint. What you see is the work that working class people are doing right here in St. Louis as an example of creating the ownership and control of the means of production. That's ours as a class that's involved. It's not private ownership, privately owned. It's not like the capitalists own stuff as individuals, etc. Although within this context, we will see individuals being able to have access to some ownership, but the process is controlled by the working class. For example, there is a reparations investment corporation where people can actually invest in properties in our community. All kinds of people can invest. That's under the leadership of our party, of our movement, of the working class itself. The working class, when we talk about the working class, we're not talking about every individual of the working class. We're talking about this representation. It's representative. The sector of the working class, the vanguard, which is the African People's Socialist Party, and every class, every society produces an advanced department, advanced sector. Even when you look at the Democrat and Republican parties, you're looking at the advanced sector of the white ruling class. Even if they're Negroes, it's the advanced sector of the white ruling class. And in this instance, what you see is the African working class having this advanced sector. And sometimes when we talk about this, it must be understood. Because when we talk about, it's not like every member, it's not like people talk about how Donald Trump is not smart and, say, all kind of nasty things. I mean, and George Bush used to be compared intellectually with a brick. But they don't have to know anything because it's the advanced detachment that knows. It's the advanced detachment that works in their interests all the time. And you will find in our community at any given time, masses of people have been so oppressed, so repressed. Drug addiction, alcoholism, all kinds of horrible things have deformed the consciousness of the African working class. But it's advanced detachment. Its vanguard represents the interests of the working class, even when the class is not capable of doing it as individuals itself. Uhuru. Yeah. Hope that was helpful.
She might have another question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, but I mean, I just wanted to shout out, Brother Charles, glad you're gonna make it to the plenary, who suggested what about a movie night?
Oh.
Plenary.
Where's Brother Charles?
He's in New Orleans.
Nolans, okay.
Charles, let's see, and Brother John on the West Coast.
Yes.
Thanks for checking in. He says, Uhuru, Chairman, how do we make an African internationalist sense of the recent actions of students and children?
That's magnificent. And this is how things are unfolding and that they don't have absolute unity here. The problem is not that everybody agrees with Trump or what he's doing, is that they don't have leadership and organization. So what you see, even in St. Louis, I've been driving down the streets and I see these students, high school students, most of them white, marching down and posing in opposition to ICE and stuff like that. It's happening all around this country. And so that's a great thing because you see the development of that kind of consciousness among young people, and young people are stuck, independent of their will, of the responsibility of having to solve the problems of the future. They don't wake up saying, let's go solve the problem of the future. They say, where the hell am I going to get a job? Is it going to be possible for me to go to this school or that school, or to do this or that, or live better than my mom and my dad and stuff like that? This puts them in a process of having to solve the problems of the future. And so this is the thing about young people. And when they walk out of that school, they are indignant about what they see happening to people who are characterized as immigrants, et cetera, not knowing that most of them are immigrants themselves, if you want to put it there. But they are indignant by that. And they don't know it, but they're looking for us. And we know that's what they're looking for. And that's why we have to be there. We have to begin doing stuff, Don. And you, I don't know if you're still in school, but I know you were in school for much of the time I've known you. We need to do teach-ins on these campuses to take political education. That's how the anti-Vietnam War grew to such an incredible number of people inside this country. Starting off, sometimes maybe 5 or 10 people showed up at a teach-in. And this thing began to grow and grow and grow because the young people are curious and they want answers to certain things that many people who are older than they have concluded is just normal. In fact, it's one of the contradictions you see happening inside your own home. I don't know how many times your mama and daddy didn't want you to do what you had to do. You know, and my mama certainly, I was a time when my mama, people were looking for me in the phone book, and they would call the name that was associated with Nick, and they would call my mama. My mama would tell them, get your husband to do it. Don't mess with my son. You understand, man? You have this. And so this is a, consequence. And people, as they get older, they become disciplined by labor, by the work, that they are doing, by the corporations they work for, by the mortgage that they have to pay, by their car notes and all of this kind of stuff. And if they live long enough, by ailments that they have to try and overcome. But young people, they don't have these same kinds of contradictions. The biggest contradiction that they have is not knowing answers, and they're looking for them. I think it was Shakespeare who once said that youth, what did he say?
Wasted on the young.
Youth is wasted on the young. That's because people who don't know, and we have these answers, and young people don't have answers, but they're in a hurry.
Yeah.
And they ain't necessarily gonna wait for you.
Yeah.
So we have to go ahead and try to make something happen and get on these campuses and get the young people in our mix as well. Uhuru. Thank you, Comrade Don. Uhuru.
Right on, right on, right on. So I guess that would conclude the discussion aspect of it. So right on, right on. Right now, I wanna without further ado, I wanna bring Conrad Fofi up here for resources and tell you how to join. Uhuru?
Uhuru, Conrad. Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Uhuru.
Yeah, see, I am proud to be able to look back or look in the front and say, thank you, Chairman, and get a reply. Uhuru, today I am here to bring about the, to see how much you believe in your liberation. Because every dollar you put into this organization is a dollar towards your and your family and your people's liberation. I'm asking for $100 today. And you online, you can get into this also. How can you get into this? You can go to Cash App, $INPDUM. And you may see more than one, but if you see one that says IEC, that's the right one to get. All right. You can go to impedum.org/donate. I have just gone to impedum.org and donated my $10. Now, if you want to do that, you can, but I'm asking for whoever has $100 that want to donate and we can build on that, do so. We are not going to beat you down, okay? We're going to lift you up. So, who has $20 they want to donate? Hands up, money down, dollar signs in the Cash App or the impedum.org. Donate. We are looking for freedom. And you know, we're getting closer and closer every day. And just as I said, every dollar you put in to this process is a dollar closer to our freedom in my lifetime. And I'm not an old chick. I mean, I'm not a young chick. I'm a seasoned chick, okay? And we got to make this happen. That's the best thing I have to say. And the way to make it happen is for us to get involved. I will come back later before Karamu and tell you how much we have collected. And you online, we're looking for yours too, because you know what? We're coming to you as a result of the donations that everyone has put together. Okay, Wi-Fi, Zoom, warm building, lights, we are result of our donation. Now, let me tell you how to become a member so you can get a finger in this fight, okay? Well, to make a fist. You can come as a George Jackson or Desi Wood level member, which is $5 for our brothers that are behind enemy walls, fighting for their freedom for some stuff that they didn't do, or some stuff that they may have thought was okay, but you know, they got added to it. Just because this is not our rules. We are colonized and we need our freedom. The Musa Bantu level in PDUM member is a $10 annual, not monthly, annual membership towards your freedom. And that is for students and the unemployed. Now, I don't know which is going to be bigger, the students or the unemployed, but either way it go, we want you in this fight. The general admission, it's not $50 million, it is $25 a year. And for that $25, you have the same rights and membership as a lifetime member. And that is, you can go to the website and you can pick any level you wish, but a $25 membership level is a good place to come in and find out what this is all about and how we're all about freedom and the community. And like Chairman said, we work for Black people. We don't work for Russia. Okay? Now, come on into the membership. Can I get that back up a minute? Go to impedum.org/today and become a member right there online. Now, if you're in this room and you're not a part of the International People Democratic Uhuru movement, I want you to see Comrade Sophia or any of the members that can make you a member today. All right? Today. And that means you can go home with fire in your belly and spread the heat. Because you know what? We are on the road. Go to International People Democratic Uhuru impedum.org/today to become a member. Okay? Thank you. And Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Just to answer a few questions, Don says, yes, Chairman, he's still in school. And the name of the film is it 2073?
Yes,
2073. There are people online
yes,
that are asking, and it's on Amazon. On Amazon. So 2073. I'm hoping everyone will follow the chairman's recommendation so we can have a real, robust discussion about it. Those are the things I had that just wanted to bring to the board.
Uhuru. So I want to appreciate the comments. And I also want to appreciate folks for, come on, y'all, join Impedum and participate in liberation of our lifetime, all right? Uhuru? Right now, I want to bring our comrade, our membership coordinator, Sophia, to the stage to announce our announcements. Uhuru? Uhuru.
Hello, all. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And as you can see, we are streaming live from the Burning Spear TV on YouTube. And just like Kofi mentioned already, those are some of the things that we need contributions for. The online voice for the International African Revolution. So if you are watching online, please give us a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel so that you can, first of all, it helps our algorithm, and then it also gets you notified when we go live again, so you can always stay up to date with what's going on. Burning Spear TV has also just launched its paid membership program offering 20% off promo code for the burningspearstore.com where you can find books from our chairman Omali Yeshitela, as well as the Burning Spear merchandise. Basic membership is $4.99 per month. So under $5, you can get a membership to our YouTube channel. We encourage you to support this important platform by clicking the join button and signing up. And in case you missed it, you can watch our historic September 25th annual Impedum Convention on the Burning Spear TV channel. Be sure to check out the dynamic presentations by Matsamela Odom, Omali Yeshitela, Jesse Todd, and many more that happened during that conference. As well as reports from the reports from Africa from Luizi Kinshasa. Okay, I'm sorry. Luizi Kinshasa, Tafari Bangari, and much more. So we ask that you get your memberships there to show your support. If you're a member, if you're not a member, we ask that you get your YouTube membership so you can stay up to date. And then Ikinga is going to give you some more information about another area of the Uhuru movement.
Uhuru. Help grow the Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm. The new Black Community Urban Farm is now hiring for a master gardener and an assistant gardener. And there is a QR code, so if people are watching online, make sure to put your phone up to the screen so you can get the QR code. The African People's Education and Defense Fund is looking for experienced Black community gardeners to work as a master gardener and assistant gardener in our new urban farm on West Florissant. The Shambhala Uhuru Freedom Farm is an exciting expansion of the successful Gary Brooks Black Power Community Garden that many of you here, both in St. Louis and outside of St. Louis, participated in. It is a continued part of our revitalization of the north side of St. Louis through all of the programs of the Black Power Blueprint. This farm is expanding our community's access to fresh foods and is also partnering with Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. To apply or to read the job descriptions, go to tinyurl.com/freedomfarmjob or scan the QR code that is on the screen. Please make sure to share these job opportunities with anyone that you may know and or be interested. And you can give us a call at 314-380-8016. Or what's the email on there? Because my screen just flipped. Yeah, go to tinyurl.com/freedomfarm/job for information again, or scan the QR code.
And volunteer at blackblueprint.org.
Volunteer volunteer at blackpowerblueprint.org. Thank you.
Uhuru. So next up is our plenary, which will be April 17th through the 19th. Themed This Time Until It's Won. And I know you keep hearing about it, and that's because it is going to be an important event. We have the political report already laid out. If you want to be a part of the change, we ask that you come on out and a part of the change and the planning for this, or not for it, but planning for the agenda that will be put forward. We ask that you come out to the plenary so that you can have your input into the movements that will be taking place moving forward on that. And this time until it's, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This time until it's won, power in our own hands. It's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. So it's not, as you see, we already have information about the Epsteins and the file, but it's not just that, because it's not just about Trump. It's about the way that the system has been for a long time. And this time when we fight, we're going to continue this fight until it's won. And it's not going to be in some future time. We're looking to get this done as soon as possible. So come on out to the plenary, April 17th through the 19th. It'll be here in St. Louis, a 3-day session, which, like he said, is not necessarily going to be long enough for everything that needs to be done to make sure that this gets completed in one. You can register at apspplenary.org. Okay, so I think with the annual cadre school, you can go to annualuhuru.org, ANWOUHURU.org, if you're interested in registering for the cadre school, if it's still available, because I think the deadline was extended to last Monday. But if you're able to get in, I think that's something you also want to get into as well, because if you want to learn how to organize in your own community and find out ways that you can take action, get the inspiration, motivation that you may need, we ask that you register for the cadre school, and there'll be a host of different topics, a range of different topics, 6 to 8 week session. So once a week on Saturday mornings, And that starts next week on February 28th on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. You can register for that. Go to annualuhuru.org. It is $30 for annual members and $60 for non-members. If you are a non-member and after the plenary, you decide or after the cadre school, you decide you want to become a member, then your registration for that will turn into your membership, as well as get you into the plenary for this year. So you can get a head start on the planning and preparation for all of the work that will be coming up in this coming years. Then we ask that you get your Burning Spear newspaper. Again, that's another way that you can stay in the know of the information that's going on from an African internationalist perspective. So we ask that you get your Burning Spear newspaper at theburningspear.com/subscribe, as well as if you want to use it as an economic development process, you can go to theburningspear.store to get bundles and get the information out to people in your community so that your community is made aware from an African internationalist perspective as well. So we ask that you go to either of those sites to get your subscriptions, get your bundles. You can also set it up to where you can get your online subscription and, read the information for yourself if that's where you want to start before you move into getting your bundles. And then next up, the International People's Democratic Uhuru RNDP studies. If you want more education or more understanding about African internationalism, more information about the Uhuru movement, who we are, what it's all about, what has been done, what needs to be done, just educational purposes, you want a teaching setting where you can ask questions and have a back and forth, then the RNDP studies is where you want to be. You can register for that at TURL/RNDP studies, as well as visiting us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com, our facebook.inpdum. And you can join us live there when we go live. And that's every Thursday from 7 p.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
8 Eastern.
8 Eastern. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying it backwards. But 8 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So if you want to be able to have that back and forth, because I know like me, I'm a hands-on person. I have to be able to ask questions to learn and get a better understanding, a deeper understanding. This is where you want to be. And those sessions are led by our International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement President, International President, Emmanuel, Lucade Maku. Emmanuel, we call him sometimes too. But you can join those studies. Help us to build the Sunday rallies. So we also are looking for your help if you want to be able to participate and be a part of something. And as you learn as you go, we ask that you help us to build the Sunday rallies. If you know people who want to become a part of political life or that have different skills that you think would help for the movement, we ask that you refer them to us so that they can provide their skills. If you want to gain skills, you can also come. We can use you from whatever capacity you're in to help us to do the work. A lot of times you see us up here and you'll see different people, and there are opportunities for people in all different areas. So no matter what areas you want to work in, if you want to work with children, there's opportunities for you in that aspect. If you want to work in women's issues, we can find areas for you to work in that. If you want to learn about gardening and different things like that, there are different areas within the movement that you can work in. But for the Sunday rallies, we're asking for those that can help to build. We want to grow and expand to where more and more people are getting this information, because as Fofied always says, with one finger or one person, you can do a little bit, you can do some things, you can make a little bit of noise, but if the more we have, if you bring that fist together, you can make a greater impact. So the more we build these Sunday rallies, the more of a greater impact and the closer we will be to liberation. So we're asking your help to build the Sunday rallies. And now we're gonna bring up Fofi to give us the.
Go do Caribou. To the
Okay.
Caribou, then go.
Okay, so for Caribou this week, we're gonna have some chicken and other sides to go with that. And then for next week, it will be tacos again. So I do need volunteers if you're gonna be able to do the taco shells, salsa, chips, different things like that. So do I have any volunteers right now who want to be able to commit to something for next week? Okay, I got a Kinge on tomatoes.
I'll get tomatoes, and lettuce.
Tomatoes and lettuce for a Kinge. Anybody else? We need taco shells. We need the ground vegan meat. So Fofi on vegan meat. And then anyone else?
I'll also do some vegan cheese
Okay, and vegan cheese. Good, good.
and vegan salad.
Okay, awesome.
Don't bring the salt,
Shells.
yeah.
Actually, we still have some left over for those. So,
Okay.
and actually, I'll send out a text message with what we have and what's remaining, and then we can decide on what else is needed there. But I do thank you all who have contributed so far. Go ahead. Okay, I'll make sure I get your number before you leave. Okay. Thank you. And I'll bring up Fofi to give us a report on what was raised for today.
Yes.
Okay, comrades, we asked for $100. We got 95. So we need 5 people to give us $1.
I'll do it, fine.
Well, thank you, comrade. We got $100. Say Uhuru. We are $100 closer to freedom. Uhuru, thank you.
Stop. Take that. Want to appreciate y'all. And usually, see, this be the day where I come up and I want to close, right? But I'm always honored to have our leadership among us. It's always a big deal, Uhuru. So I want to ask our leadership, our comrade, our chairman to come and close us out today, if that's okay. Uhuru? Uhuru.
You know, I'm gonna come up and say no. I want to really express appreciation to for your participation, people who are here, and those of you who are online. It's a real critical moment, and I'd hate to think of what would be happening for this world and our people if you were not here, if you were not engaged. I just feel that it's so profoundly significant, and that you're on the cutting edge of this growing movement for the liberation of humanity that's expressed immediately through the liberation of Africa and African people. Thank you so much. Vanguard up.
Vanguard up.
Uhuru.
That's it. Uhuru.